I just had one more question.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Just about, in general, I was wondering, is there any verses, it might just be intuitive, but are there any verses in particular? I kind of looked around, I couldn't see anything like specific, and I talked to Matt about it, anything specific where Paul says that members of the body of Christ should be part of the local assembly.
There's no verses that should, but it's in. Yeah. Well, let me show you. Let me say it like this. It wasn't even a thing. It wasn't even a thing where I don't even think he had to address it because it was just.
That's what I'm thinking.
It was just
kind of
but
obvious,
let me think. The closest I can say now, it's not from Paul, although the book of Hebrews is ascribed to the Apostle Paul. We do have in Scripture, and you hear the denominational people bring that up, right? Mm-hmm. Forsaking not the assembling of ourselves together and so forth.
Right.
There is a dynamic. Now, I can give you this. I can give you these two verses. Okay, so everybody know that Hebrews says, verse chapter 13, I think it is, it goes
10:25.
10:25, where it says, and let us not forsake the assembling of ourselves together, right? So there's that reminder to that little flock to come together on a regular basis. Now, what does Paul say? I got something close, right? Get 1 Corinthians chapter number 11 and get 2 Corinthians. So here's my point. I just think it was just the way it was. Like if you're going to be a member of the body of Christ, you assemble together with other believers on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And what I think it is, they definitely came together at least once a week to worship corporately together. Mm-hmm. Here's why I say that. Look at 1 Corinthians 11. We'll just jump right on in there. Verse number 17. Now in this that I declare unto you, I praise you not, that ye come together not for the better, but for the worse. For first of all, when ye come together in the church, I hear that there be divisions among you, and I partly believe it. Now, here's the key to that. He's telling them, so they have a custom of rarely coming together in the church. In fact, the whole book of 1 Corinthians, most of it is them dealing with how to deal with each other together. Okay?
Exactly right.
Go down to verse number...
Well, and also in 17, we can kind of see that he says, now in this that I declare unto you, I praise you not, that ye come together not for the better, but for the worse. So the ideal is that they would come together for the better.
Correct, for the better.
And it implies that they are coming together.
Right.
But
by the way, not just coming together, but where Ryan just pointed out, the reason you would come together, it was to be some profit to it, right?
Yes.
For the better.
And if we kind of invert this, Paul would be praising them for coming together for the good, which means obviously that he would endorse that and say that that's a good thing to do.
Exactly. Now look at 1 Corinthians chapter 16. Go to 1 Corinthians 16. Verse 1. Now concerning the collection for the saints, as I have given order to the churches. All through Paul's epistles, there are these group of believers who are meeting on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Churches of Galatia, even so do ye. Upon the first day of the week, let every one of you lay by him in store, as God has prospered him. Now, in this context, he's coming there. He's going to visit them, right? So the first day of the week, I contrast that or compare that to in Acts, where it says, upon the first day of the week, when the disciples, look that up for me, Ryan. Look at Acts. It's in Acts, the first day of the week. The first day of the week. It's in Acts because that verse says, when the disciples came together to break bread and so forth. In other words, you can see that they were constantly coming together.
You have Acts 20, verse 7.
Look at Acts 20, verse 7. Yeah. And by the way, this is the body of Christ. He's at Ephesus. And upon the first day of the week, when the disciples came together to break bread, Paul preached unto them and so forth. What we see is there was at least a weekly gathering on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And like Ryan says, that verse, and I'll talk to Matt about it. Richard and Rachel came over last night, so I could talk to him. I may just talk to him Tuesday. I got to take some seniors, and I got like a space of time. I take them to a casino, so I just sit on my bus. And that way, whatever we talk about Tuesday, I can discuss with you Wednesday, right?
Right.
But here's the point. they were coming together. And the verse you brought up, man, was good. You come together not for the better, but for the worse. So you just showed in that verse. He doesn't have a verse that says,
I commend you for coming together.
well, he doesn't have a verse that says a member of the body of Christ should be attending. But the principle is there. It's like,
is it fair to say if there's something that we could do that the Apostle Paul would say, I praise you for doing it, that's a good thing to do, and that's something we should do?
if he says that, yeah.
Right.
Like, and Ryan, I think too, the reason he didn't address it per se was that wasn't an issue.
Right.
People were congregating together.
It's intuitive, right.
It's an issue today.
He only had to deal with the issue that they were there
When they were. So the inverse is true that there was some benefit of them coming together.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Krista.
1 Timothy 3:15.
Oh.
It's kind of an assumption too that they're just
That's true. That's true. Well, you know what?
because they're going through the deacons.
That's why I love you. That's it, girl. Boom. But if I tarry long, that thou mayest know how thou oughtest to behave thyself in the house of God, which is the church of the living God, the pillar and ground of the truth. So that church is a collection of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being in an area, getting the truth out. So in every way, I see there's more sense that Paul would have us come together, at least a weekly basis, for our betterment.
Well, and
Which means if you're not doing that consistently, it's not for your betterment. It's actually worse for you.
and again, being it intuitive, it's like, the pastoral epistles, he goes through about how to behave in this scenario. Why would he even bother doing that if he didn't expect people to go there and be part
And
of
think
it?
about what he's saying. Those pastoral epistles, he's dealing with, these are only problems that can come up when you're together, right?
In the local assembly.
In the local assembly together. He's telling us how to behave. How else can you, Krista always tells me, that's where you work out your salvation on a grand scale. Yes, with your spouse or whatever.
And the checks and balances that he puts in the order of it in the pastoral epistles are there for a reason too.
How can you be held accountable if you're not part of a group?
Right.
That's the problem we run into
How
in
can
these
you,
last days.
the snare of the devil and stuff like that? If there's reasons for this, it's a resource that we're supposed to have.
Ryan, you know the difference between what we're dealing with in Paul's day? In order to get the truth rightly divided, you literally had to go where someone was teaching it, right?
Right.
So let's say we met at your house, Matthew, right? And you said, Brother Ron, will you mind sharing a word from the Lord, okay? People would actually have to come to your house to hear the message, right? There was no recording, put it on video and stuff.
Right.
Ryan and I talk about this all the time. It has actually hindered saints to have this video ministry in this way, because now it's like, it's just watch video, yeah.
Right.
And they don't have to, two things, they don't have to be involved. Basically, I'm gonna be frank. They're taking from us spiritually, but many of them aren't helping. They're not being human resources that we need,
And
right?
they're selling themselves short because they're taking out the variable of accountability that God wants
I was
them
gonna
to
say, that's
have,
the
that
next
sort
thing.
of thing.
And the
How can-
sanctification they can't exercise properly.
Right.
Check this out. How can we make these verses work in their life if they don't? Think about what Paul says. Know them which labor among you and are over you in the Lord. Okay?
Right.
How can I be over someone from afar like that?
Right.
Besides just teaching them, I can't hold anybody
Again, that
accountable.
over is the rank that we're talking about.
Exactly, has to do. So yeah, we can't do it this way. Brian and I are actually we man, I'm telling you, I guarantee we'd get a lot more people who depend on this ministry. Not everybody could. We get a lot of people who do what Rondell did if we made it pay per view or something. Or we didn't do it no for real.
Right, we just shut it down
Just
and
shut it
said,
down.
well, you know where we are now, come.
I guarantee you
Let's
some.
shut
be
it
part
down
of
for a
it.
while and see what happens.
I'm telling you, man. It's actually
But that
we love
shouldn't be an idea. You should do it. I'm
Rondell,
dead serious. I thought about that.
Rondell, just like we always do, we deal with people in long suffering,
Yeah.
and there
There's
are
enough
legitimate people.
videos. There's enough videos on there. Trust me, I know.
Yeah,
But-
well,
but they like
I
the new one.
I have thought about that when we finish, at least when we finish all of Paul's epistles, there's no reason to put up more videos of epistles you've already gone through. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would say, and I'll just throw this out there. Now, the one thing is, like anything, because there's time went on, at least from my viewpoint as a Bible student, something I taught about like when we do the book of Galatians, I did it back in 06, right? So we're
Right.
going to do it again this year. In that 10 years, I've gained more understanding of the book that I would love to share with the saints. In other words, that would be, and I get you right, that would be the only thing from my end. I can give you more than I gave you.
I guess I have
back
to
then.
figure
But then
out
you just replace the Galatians that's existing and take away the one.
Well,
that
see,
was
even that
issued earlier.
it wasn't even here.
And then that was still
Right,
the
right,
way
right.
you're talking.
And Matthew, that was something I did, you know, we moved here in 2011. That's something I did back in Twin Cities Grace Fellowship.
Right.
And I definitely, just by my conversation with you guys and stuff, I see a lot, well, it's been 10 years. I'm more enlightened about the
Right.
verses, and I want to share that with saints. So what I would do, again, that Galatians study is out there. That's a Twin Cities Grace Fellowship deal. But even though it's out there, I can give more insight and unpack the verses more because it's been
Right.
10
I
years.
guess I'd have to just get creative with how I label it to make the distinction of this isn't the original Roman study or whatever, it's the new Roman study.
Romans 2.0, baby.
Yeah.
No, I get you, but like Rondell, so Rondell, back to what you said,
No, I get
we
what you're
thought about
saying.
it, but
I get what you're saying. Just like me,
there are
how-
saints who, I mean, like when you were in Connecticut, even your desire was being, you finally got here. Let's say this, Ryan and I are sacrificing immensely time, talent, treasure to do this. We're doing this for Christ's sake and
Exactly.
love.
I guess
of
there
Christ.
is a vitality in life too of new videos going up. It doesn't
Oh,
just
sure.
seem like, you know, some monument of some old videos from years ago that
Right.
there's not an active ministry. It kind of lets people know this is active ministry. It's going on.
And Ryan, and I don't share
Hopefully-
this. I don't
hopefully
share this a lot with you guys.
Hopefully come be part of it.
I don't share it a lot with you guys, but yeah, there's not a week that goes by where someone says, you know, because Ryan, depending on his schedule and stuff, he'll put a lot on at once, but it takes him some time to edit and do the things he has to do. And not a week go by that people don't say, we're waiting for the new one. So in other words, they're always going to wait for the fresh videos. Always. They always look for them. And these are people who've been with us for years, but they always want to see what's the next thing in the series, you know. So we're going to do it, man. You know, Ryan we have, just on our YouTube, we got 808 subscribers as of this week. And we're thankful, but yeah, man, we could use the human resources. I'm not even talking about, I'm
10% of that.
we take,
10% would
yeah,
be
because
great.
only
You're right.
we could use some bodies to help bear the burden.
Right.
There's a lot of needs that we have in this ministry that we cannot fill. I mean, shoot, if 5 men came who's using us, one of them could prospectively be Rondell's husband.
or help put up the chairs and stuff. I wasn't thinking about that. I mean, you went kind of
Why
far.
do the chairs? I do the garbage. Well, no, but that's serious. That's serious. If that's the chain, that's how it works.
We definitely have a lack of people physically in the assembly, and
Yeah.
it's part of the policy of evil and everything. But
Really?
in the last days of grace, but
And it's where we at.
Where are
Like,
we at? Yeah.
I mean, I said
It's-
that.
and I'm saying this about all of us, and y'all may agree, may not, whatever. But I'm telling you, if there's any grace, if there's any assembly on earth that Satan wants to not have people hear about, be a part of, it's because we're faithful to this truth about the mystery, man. And I don't care about praising. I don't care about none of that. And Satan knows that. I don't care about none of that.
Oh, he knows that.
Grace School of Bible, all that stuff. They like the show and stuff. I see it. It's diminishing. I don't care about none of that. I just want to get that. And so you'd be hard pressed to find many, at least in, let me say, in our country, in the United States, where you're going to get this, and Satan want to make sure people don't get this.
well,
Man.
this comes back to the original question about that. It's clear that the prescription for a member of the body of Christ is to be part of a local assembly, and this life is nothing compared to how long we're going to be in eternity. So,
Yes.
where are your priorities?
Yeah, it's all about priorities.
Come
It's
before
That's all we
All
gotta be
right.
doing anyway, right?
Listen.
I know not everybody has
Right.
the ability, but plenty of people do.
Plenty of
And
people
it's
do.
like,
Ryan, you just mentioned how we have 808 subscribers. That's not even the number of people who've seen,
Right,
watch.
right.
It's in the thousands. You mean to tell me of those thousands, there's not like a handful of people who can make their way here?
and when we're
There's some
asking,
in California.
right? When we're asking people to be part of this ministry,
You came from Connecticut.
when we're asking people to come be physically part of this
Yeah.
ministry, we're not saying anything that Paul's not saying that they should do. We're not trying to sell them short. It's for their benefit, even more than ours. You know?
I think people are thinking that that Paul didn't say that, and that's the problem.
Well, that's what my question was about, you know.
But there's nowhere in, if something really, I would ask them that, if they sit there and go, do you really think that Paul would find it okay that you're just kind of this on that island all by yourself type of person? That Satan wouldn't take advantage of that.
And that's what
You think
Paul
you're
would do.
safer?
That's what Paul prescribes for people who are unfaithful. He's like, get out of these.
That's my point. You're in the same position that he tells the guy in 1 Corinthians 5, and then the brothers over there in 2 Timothy. You're in the position that when you're not, he's like, get out.
Right.
Be away from the people.
Right. Why would you put yourself in that position? That negative, unfavorable position, spiritually speaking.
You think about this. Satan's attack on us as individuals, when we come together, we can be strengthened. I mean, you don't think that it's easier for Satan to take advantage of you without an assembly than us with an assembly. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, but it's like, what are we here for? 80 to 100 years or something like that, compared to how long life and eternity is going to last. It's like, where are your priorities? Like, who cares? Just now is the time to build up fruit to your
We
account.
need more Rondels. This chick came from
That's
the other
point of
side.
the judgment seat of Christ.
That's important. She come from the other side of the country, literally,
Literally.
with her daughter, uprooted her teenage daughter from that. That was hard to be here. She got it. There are more. Everybody can't do it. I know everybody can't do it. Different reasons, but some people can. And y'all don't even know this because we keep this. There are people in California who follow our ministry, and I just know they're in a position to just relocate a few hours.
Well, and especially like Rondell brought up the men. There's a lack of men who can bear burdens that women can't bear.
I was just about to say, there's certain things that God only put in the men to do that the women can't. That's not their part to do. Look, I want y'all to know I don't take anybody who attends on a regular basis for granted, because I know the policy of evil and how hard, like, we're all targets of Satan in this area. And then the area we actually live in, okay, this region. So look, anybody who's here on a regular basis, you getting beat up by the devil, man. And from me to Krista to all of y'all, the fact that you're here on a regular basis, I know the battle. Like, we're on some rough turf here, man. We
Did you
fight.
share some of those stats from that email?
Yeah, I was telling them about it, about San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose, and Sacramento.
Yeah, that was
The worst in the country. And that's just where we at. Nice, okay. But I do believe that's where our duty in these last days, that I feel like I'm the right man for the job to do it here. You gotta be like, faced like a flint, not looking for man. Like, you gotta be a battler.
What were those 3 cities the worst in?
It was, he
It
was
was like
talking
the
about,
most unchurched, which is not as bad, but it's like the most.
yeah, so from a denominational view.
Right,
Basically
right.
saying it was, how I would say it was spiritually dark, okay?
Right.
That you're not getting any, we're right in the midst.
Even the apostates aren't there.
Right.
Right.
Even the apostates out there, exactly. Yeah. And I told y'all know what I said when I got here. It was like, we don't feel it as much, obviously, because we built up a resistance to it spiritually. But when we first moved here, we could feel it. Being from the Midwest, where the light of God's word is more prevalent, just the darkness. Now, we know it's there. Like, we don't let our guard down. It's just that it's not as, we built up a resistance. It's like you're getting more immune to it. But it still bothers my heart, man. So we're not going to build up a large ministry at this location because Satan is just fighting too hard. Fighting too hard, man. All right.
And it's the last days of grace.
Well, exactly. It's the perilous times, right?
Yes.
Look, man, I believe, and I want to encourage you guys, we're for such a time of this where we're born, we need to serve our generation. We are the right people for this job. Look how tough we are. The stuff that happened to me, my wife just basically left her family and says, I'm with you. The whole thing when her parents decided they didn't want to believe her brother and them, she says, I'm with you. Rondell left everything. Matthew, your wife is active. She left the faith. Ryan's mom put him out of his home because of what he believes. Like he's living house to house, out of his car, all these things. And it's like, we're all suffering here, man, for this truth, right? You know? I had to deal with my brain gets fried dealing with my secular job and stuff. I should be set apart, just put my mind into study, to ministry, to deal with people's problems and stuff. I can't give them the time. It's a mess, man. It's a mess. But I think we're the people who are here. We got to be strong these days, yeah.
Yes.
All right, we got
Like Arundel, she said she looks at it like the ark.
it's like
Yeah, that's right.
this little room is the ark right here. For real.
Just a few.
And we're telling people,
That's
look,
right.
I know you got the videos. Thank God for Ryan putting them up. But it's not the same. Rondell could testify. Rondell, I should just put Rondell, have her make a video. I'm telling you. Like, I was listening in Connecticut, but I came here. You got to be here. Like, it has affected her and your daughter. Your daughter
It's not
has some
even
of
just
that.
that. I think that it was a little easier on my part because of my situation.
Well, sure.
It was easier on my part, but I also am very tactful in that if you're talking about there are people in California in the same state that won't even do that, that's another ball game. You know what I'm saying? I would scrap all metal that I could. I would save all bottles that I could. I would try to go on the internet, find out how to make money. I would do any and everything that
that's
I could.
what I'm talking about. That's the mentality we're looking for. You know what you just said? You're willing to sacrifice and suffer to do what you got to do to get this. That's how I am. That's how Krista is. That's how Ryan is. That's how Matthew is. Listen, a lot of people don't prioritize these things. And so, Rondell, you know what you just said? You said, I would get scrap metal and bottles to be able to be here. Like, that is commitment. That's commitment.
But that's actually
But we need
what I
more
did.
people with that attitude. Yes, you may have to sell your home. You may have to do this, you might have to do that, you might have to do that. You can relocate and all that.
Ryan does. We get people from Stockton, they're like, you know one in my area? And I'm like, we're it.
Right.
We got a guy who comes from Modesto. It's
Right.
like,
That drives me crazy. And I know they just, and I go, but we remind them kindly. I say, yeah, we got people come from like the Bay Area, Modesto and stuff. Sorry in these last days, you won't have these convenient little grace churches all everywhere. You might have to travel like Ryan from Modesto to come here. Or Rondell moved here from Connecticut. You might have to do this in these last days. What more important? I want to sit them down. What more important thing do you have to do?